Hey, what's up guys and welcome back to Anime King. And today I'm going to be giving you part 15 of What If Naruto Was Sent to the Marvel World. Remember to get this one to 100 likes as usual, share this to all of your friends on your social media platform. And also guys, stay in tune because after this I'm going to be giving you a brand new episode of What If Naruto Was Neglected by Everyone. So stay in tune for that and I hope you guys enjoy. And I recently posted a new episode of What If Naruto returned different after his training trip. It's the final episode for season 1. And also go ahead and check out the brand new episode of What If Aizuna Uchiha was Naruto's ancestor. And stay in tune for What If Naruto was a god amongst man. And also What If Orochimaru was Naruto's father. Stay in tune for that and I hope you guys enjoy. And remember, if you're new and this is the first time hearing my voice, and you enjoy the videos on both Anime King and Anime King 2, go ahead and click that red subscribe button and become a part of the Anime King family. And thank you for all of your help and your support. And yeah, without further ado, let's begin this new episode. Start the intro.
I think the girls with their nails done now. Girls with their nails done. I think the girls with their
So, the last part we left off, Naruto was at the Nova Corps as they weren't letting him in, as a man named Roman came and told them that Naruto was with him. As Naruto didn't know him, as the man introduced himself, the man thanked Naruto because if it wasn't for him, the war would have continued on. And in his eyes, Naruto is a hero, as he brought Naruto to where the prisoners were kept. This was a few days ago, as Naruto saw Gamora, a strange tree-like thing, and also Drax the Destroyer, and he saw Peter Quill, and also a raccoon. As Naruto got the information what he wanted, and the location, as he was called to the second-in-command chambers with the other soldiers there. As the group headed off to investigate the prison, as they heard that there was a breakout, as when they got there, bloods, all kind of blood, different color, body parts were scattered everywhere, as Ronin the accuser was here, searching for Peter Quill, the object mostly, and it seems like his lackeys killed everyone here as the place was a massacre. As Naruto decided that he had to find them, as he watched over the security tape, as he overheard their conversation, as Naruto went off, he arrived on a planet that is neutral, where everyone could go, as he found the strange thing which was called Groot and Drax, and also the raccoon was called Rocket. After some talk, Groot wanted to go and rescue Gamora and Peter. So with that, the group headed off, as they were on the ship with Yondu, as Yondu was cursing at Peter, saying that he betrayed him. But Peter told him that Gamora here has all the information on Ronin the Accuser, as Yondu decided to listen and hear him out. With that, the group then came together, as they were allowed passage on Yondu's ship, and Naruto met Peter Quill and saw Gamora again, as they talked, as Peter wanted the idea, as he just had a small bit of an idea how to get back the Infinity Stone, seeing that Ronin currently has it, as Naruto wanted to fight Ronin as well, to finally end this stupid reign and get that stone as well. As the group talk and get to know each other a bit, and they start to formulate a plan. So yeah guys, that was basically the last point left off. You guys can choose across the place and check it out for yourself. So let's start this new episode. We currently have Quill and Yondu, all of them are there, as Quill pulled up a scream right in front of them. This planet, Hyjalip, is a perfect place with zero intelligent and life form. It's a perfect place to kill Ronin and get the stone. Well, how exactly do you plan on getting on Ronin's ship, by the way, asked Yondu. The same way we will get to the planet, Naruto said. I had an encounter with some of Ronin's men, who I speared to send a message to their master. The message is the Harishin seal. Providing that he didn't destroy the note, the four of us will teleport to the Dark Aster. From there we will separate, with Drax, Groot and myself, going to grab Ronin, while Gamora will go and shut down the ship and safely land it in the ocean below. And while we're doing this, Quill and Rocket will assist you, making sure the rest of Ronin lackeys don't try anything. And I will inform the Nova Corps, telling them that all of you are helping, saving Xandar. Just so we're clear, Yondu said, how exactly are we getting paid for our services? Saving a planet ain't cheap, you know. Quill hesitated for a moment as he looked over to Naruto, as Naruto gave him a nod. Your payment, Yondu, is the orb, said Quill. A grin came across Yondu's face, as he obviously liked the sound of that. Time skip. In the airship Dark Alastor. The group flashed inside the chambers, as one of them had their two daggers pulled, ready for battle, but nothing came. As Naruto looked towards Gamora, is this place always so dark and gloomy, he asked. For the most part, she said. He was about to use a fire jutsu to light up the place, as he was beaten to the punch by Groot. As he lifted up his arm, as golden drips started to flow up above them, illuminating the chambers. When did you learn to do that? Drax asked in wonder. I doubt we would understand even if he knew, Naruto said. His translator isn't here, remember? Almost on cue, the Dark Alastor took heavy hits as a fight outside has begun. Come on, Gamora said. The flight deck isn't far away from here. That is where we will split up, she said. The three nodded as all of them made their way out of the chambers. As they were running, Drax spoke. I want you all to know it is grateful for you all to accept my blunder. It is pleasing to have friends again. You, Naruto, you're my friend. Naruto looked towards Drax with a smile. Same here, big guy, he said. As he looked towards Groot, this dumb tree is my friend. I am Groot, Groot said. He then looked towards Gamora, and this green whore here is my... Will you stop, Gamora said, as she glared at him. As Drax went over to Naruto. What's the green whore problem? Probably because you're calling her a green whore. His confusion didn't go away. Is she not green? Well, yeah, Naruto said. Well, if she's going to act like that, then I don't need her as a friend. I have the fairy rodent as a friend, and Quill is my friend as well. Sure, buddy. Whatever you say, said Naruto. As the group walked up to a massive double doors, as Drax and Gamora pulled them open. As the four of them blinked as they saw dozens of soldiers moving about in the hall. All the soldiers stopped in their tracks as they looked at the four intruders. Naruto, Gamora and Drax did not wait for them to act, as all three of them dived forward and attacked the group head on. As Drax had his two blades and kept on slicing, as Gamora had her sword and sliced right through the enemy forces, even slicing their guns to pieces, as Naruto had Sasuke's sword, which he channeled wind chakra in, and sliced them, beheading them. As Naruto saw a great portion of soldiers heading his way, he pulled back his hand as he thrust his blade forward as it released a slash of pure wind chakra that cut through all of them in his path. As a few more ran up to him, as Naruto allowed a fireball to come in his hand, which he pressed down on the blade, as wind and fire mixed together, making the fire dance intensely, as Naruto kept on cleaving through enemy after enemy forces. Naruto was then assaulted by gunfire as he had to jump away, as he stabbed the sword in the ground as he saw a few of them a distance away, as he channeled lightning chakra. Shidori Senbon, he said, as he lifted his hand up and fired out multiple lightning needles as they strike the enemies, as the enemies collapsed down dead. As the Shidori Senbon teared through their heads or even their hearts, as Naruto saw one of them with a baton, as he thrust his sword forward, the sword pierced right through the man's skull, as Naruto had reached in over to it, as the sword had a seal on it, as Naruto ripped out the blade before the man could fall, as another emerged on him. Naruto grabbed this insect-like creature with his hand and thrust his head into the ground with so much force, it exploded upon contact. As he turned to see the others, all of them were looking at him. What? Naruto asked. You never did that when we fought, said Gamora. As Naruto scratched the back of his head, was it a bit much? A bit much? Drax said. That was awesome! He roared out before giving a laugh. We must do battle someday, my friend. You are a true warrior indeed. I am Groot, Groot said in agreement. Enough, Gamora said. We don't have time to dilly-dally. Right, Naruto said. I am Groot. Drax scoffed. The raccoon was right, you just have to suck the joy out of everything he said. Gamora did not bother to reply as she just led the group down the hall. As they arrived at the giant doors, this is it, Gamora said. Prepare for a fight. As Gamora was about to open the door, it opened by itself. As Nebula walked out as she was shocked, as she and Naruto's eyes met, until she thrust forward a battle cry as she pulled out 2 iron batons as they were encased in lightning. But she was frozen as she couldn't move a bit. As Naruto had a smile on his face, magnet release, you gotta love it, as he forced her to drop her arms at her side. After our fight a few months ago, it wasn't hard to figure out that you were modified quite a bit, giving you more metal inside of you. Now, could you please move aside? We've got places we need to be. You bastard, I'll kill you! Do you hear me? I'll kill— But she couldn't get to finish her sentence as Naruto thrust her into the wall. Gamora gave her sister a quick glance as she hesitated for a second, but then she turned back to the ship control. Alright, she said. Go ahead to the observation deck, it's right above us. Up there, Naruto said, pointing up. Correct, said Gamora. Oh, I got this, Naruto said as he went through hand sign. Wisdom, Wolf Decay. As he opened his mouth, a reddish-orange gas came out of it. As soon as the gas made contact with the ceiling, it began to decay rather quickly and rust. Before long, the area disappeared completely as Naruto used Wind Chakra to blow away the gas before it could harm the others. As Naruto bent his knees to jump up, but he heard Nebula getting up. As he heard her snapping back herself together. As Naruto sighed as he raised his hand, no, I'll handle it, said Gamora. Not seeing any reason why she couldn't, Naruto nodded as he jumped through the hole. As Drax and Groot followed behind him, the 3 entering the deck. And there, standing before them, was the man of the hour, Ronin the Accuser. Meanwhile, outside, Quill was having the time of his life as he was blasting all of the enemies, as Rocket was in another ship blasting as well. Back inside, Nebula clashed against her sister as she had one of the lightning patterns as her sister was using a sword. How can you work for that man, sister? You disappoint more and more. It just shows how weak you are. So says the one he nearly killed, said Gamora. That man is more powerful than you can even imagine. I've seen it, she said, as she pushed her sister back as she went for another swing of her sword. Nebula blocked it. He's nothing compared to Ronin. Even now, make it worse, with that stone, not even father can stand in Ronin's way. You don't know that, Nebula. You're walking a path that only has one destination. And that's only death. As Nebula pushed back her sister, as she saw the control panel behind her sister. We all have to die sometime, sister, she said with a smirk. As she flipped past her sister and brought down the lightning pattern, as she smashed it on the panel, as Gamora kicked her in the side, pushing her away. As everything was flashing red. What have you done, you fool, said Gamora. It's like you said, sister, my path has only one destination. And now so does everyone else's, she said. Meanwhile, so you're the guy that everyone is talking about, huh? I thought you would be taller, Naruto said. And I thought you would be bigger, Celestial, said Ronin. How such a silly nickname came to be to you is beyond me. Though after your display on Zephyr, I suppose you're close to it. Other than me, of course. Naruto snorted. You think having that stone makes you a god? Get real, buddy. I can kill life just with that thought. What else can I be? An average Tuesday, Naruto said with a shrug. Enough of this, Drax said. As he stepped forward his daggers. Let us end this, Naruto. As Drax dashed forward. Drax, wait, Naruto said. But it was too late. As Drax's dagger simply bounced off Ronin's armor. As Ronin grabbed Drax by the throat. I was mistaken, Ronin said. I do remember killing your family. Their screams were pitiful. And where were you to save them? As Drax tried to break Ronin's body armor, but he was failing miserably as he started to feel life being choked out of him. If you were too weak to protect them, what makes you think you're strong enough to avenge him? Asked Ronin. But suddenly Ronin was sent flying back several yards as he stopped in a roll and a crouch. As Ronin looked up to see Naruto holding Drax over his shoulder, Naruto disappeared in a burst of speed as he appeared next to Groot, as he laid Drax on the ground who was unconscious. As Naruto stretched his body, "How about we take this outside," he said. In another burst of speed, Naruto appeared behind Ronin as he placed his hand on his shoulder. "Take your hand up," but the both of them vanished. Meanwhile, "Hey Gamora, what's taking so long? We can only hold this asshole off for so long," Rocket said. "Nebula, destroy, panel, ship, crash," as he could barely make out that, as the rest was just static. "Damn it," Rocket said. "Quill, did you hear that?" "Yeah, that definitely wasn't part of the plan. What the hell are we gonna do with things gonna land in the middle of the city? That's millions of people, Quill." I know. Where's the goddamn Nova Corps when you need them?" Rocket was about to say something when a squad of Star Blasters whisked past him. "It's about goddamn time," he said. Inside of one of the Star Blasters, as Saul rolled his eyes, "Don't worry, Squirrel. We will take care of the Dark Ulster. If you'll be such a oblige to take care of these others, I will greatly appreciate it." As hundreds of Star Blasters started lined up, as hundreds of them released a golden energy that surrounded the giant ship. "Blockade engaged," Saul said. "Excellent work, Diener and Saul, but we're only halfway done. Now we have to direct the ship safely away from the city." "Understood, ma'am." Meanwhile, Ronin was surprised as he arrived on another planet. He was no longer in the Dark Ulster. He isn't even on Xandar. As he looked around to see Naruto over to the other side. "Where have you taken me, boy?" But Naruto simply ignored him as he took off his jacket and rested on a small platform. "Welcome to Hyberlic," Naruto said. "Take me off this rock and your death would be a quick one," Ronin said. "You know, one of my abilities is to sense negative emotions. It helped me tell when someone is lying to my face. And you, sir, you just gave me one hell of a lie." Naruto couldn't say anything else as Ronin used the Power Stone, as Naruto was sent flying with a force of powerful invisible energy. As Ronin watched Naruto tumble, "Your words have started to anger me, boy." Naruto got up, fine, no more banter, as he dusted himself off. As Naruto speaks through hand signs, water style, bubble jutsu, as he blew out a gentle stream of air. Another second, a large bubble started to spew from his lips. As it started to get larger and larger and larger, Ronin raised the eyebrow as the bubble started to drift his way. "Perhaps I didn't make myself clear," he said, as he reached his hand out. "I am done with your," but he was cut off as the bubble exploded. As Ronin was sent blowing away, as Naruto raised his arms to cover his face from the flying debris. He then quickly activated the power of 6-path stage mode. As Naruto rushed into the cloud of smoke where Ronin crashed, as Naruto appeared right in front of him, as his leg was pulled back all the way, Naruto then thrust it forward as it connected with Ronin's chest, as the man was sent flying. As Naruto created 2 shadow clones, as all of them flashed through hand sign, as all of them shouted in unison, "Sage Art, Elemental, Collaboration, Wholesome, Trinity." Each took a deep breath as they released a different element, wind, fire, lightning. As the attack fused in together, as it swallowed Ronin with a huger explosion than before. "Quite the attack, Brat," said Kurama. "Thanks, but there's no way that took him down," Naruto thought. "This is just a warm-up." "You and your warm-up," said Kurama as he grumbled. "Don't act like you love it," Naruto said, as Kurama smirked. "Never said I didn't." Ronin exploded out of the debris as he wiped the blood from the side of his face. His armor also had a few pieces missing off of it. As he looked at his cracked and broken armor, "You managed to hurt me, congratulations," he said. Not many can say that they accomplished such a feat. Naruto didn't say a word as he simply looked Ronin in the eyes as he prepared his next attack. "Oh, that's right," Ronin said. No more banter as he flexed his weapon. As he sent another wave of energy towards Naruto, but this one was much more powerful. As it teared through the ground as he headed towards the blonde. Dodging to the side, Naruto dashed towards Ronin, but another energy wave came towards him. as he jumped to the left as he started to go through hand signs, but Ronin appeared in front of him. As Ronin showed a shocking amount of speed and skills by getting in his face so quickly, as his staff was reared back over his head as he let out a mighty roar as he was trying to crush Naruto's skull with it. But the hammerhead never met Naruto as it slammed into the ground with a boom. Meanwhile, the Dark Alaster crashed into the sea as Gamora felt it as the two sisters were taking a short break as water started to fill up the area where they were standing as the both of them are panting and breathing rather heavy. Feeling like they took long enough a break, the both of them charged each other. As they lost their weapons, they were forced to engage each other in a swift hand-to-hand combat. Having trained with each other so long, they know each other's style and their movements, so it was hard for them to come up with a new way of fighting each other. Finally, Gamora managed to sneak her hand around Nebula's head for a neck lock, but Nebula kicked away her feet from under her as the both of them fell to the ground. But Gamora still held on to her sister's neck as Nebula drove her elbow in her side, trying to get her to let her loose, but Gamora held tight until Gamora felt her body went slack as her sister fell unconscious. As Gamora simply lay there in the water as her sister in her arms unconscious. Meanwhile, the destruction that the Power Stone caused, it was unimaginable as it went off like an atomic bomb as the purple energy swept all over the landscape. If one was looking at the planet from space, they would see a purple dot spread across the entire planet. As the dust settled, Ronin came out of it. "Beautiful, isn't it?" he said, as he looked at the destruction that he created. As he looked towards his right, as he gazed upon the glowing shape, "Your powers are truly frightening," he said. "To be able to survive an attack like that is truly impressive," Ronin said. As Naruto was back in his normal form as he released Sakurama's cloak, as he had scratches over his body and a nasty gash on his left shoulder, with blood pouring from the wound, but he was being healed and his pants was torn as well. "I didn't expect that attack to be so big," Naruto said. "Otherwise, I would have hightailed it out of here." "I'll be honest, you surprised me with that one," Naruto said. As he flexed his muscles, as steam started to come from his cuts, his wounds were being healed rather quickly. After a few seconds, Naruto was back to normal, and it's because of that I'm going to give you this warning. As Naruto activated the cloak again, but Ronin couldn't say anything as Naruto moved with such speed that caught Ronin off guard, as his fist drive into Ronin's jaw, sending Ronin deep into the ground. As Naruto grabbed his leg and thrust him upwards, but Naruto appeared above him and drive his knee straight down to Ronin's gut. As Naruto appeared below him and drive him back up in the air with a sonic kick, as there was a boom as Ronin was sent flying up, as this went over and over again as Naruto reappear and knock him all over. It got to the point that Ronin didn't know where he was, he just knew that he was somewhere in the air, getting the crap beaten out of him by a guy he could not keep up with. And just like that it ended as Ronin was sent slamming into the ground with so much force, it exploded beneath him. As his staff was still in his hand though, as he tried to assess the damage done to him. As he started to cough, as he coughed up a large glob of blood. As his eyes drift over to Naruto standing on his left, as he swung his staff and sent out energy towards Naruto, but Naruto disappeared before it could hit him. As Naruto appeared over Ronin and kicked him right in the ribs, sending him back to the ground as Ronin coughed up some more blood. "You've got quite the grip," Naruto said. "Most people would have let it go by now." "I am not done yet, boy," Ronin said, as he swung his hammer as Naruto jumped back so he wouldn't get vaporized by it. "I am," Ronin said as he got up, "the most powerful man in the universe. I am not going to die to the likes of you. You hear me, boy?" As he tapped into the Power Stone, his eyes glowed a dangerous purple as his muscles bulged out. As the stone was glowing brighter than before, with the hammer being engulfed in a purple energy. As the ground underneath him cracked apart, as he looked over at his enemy, he didn't even say a word. As the ground exploded, as he took off towards Naruto. As Naruto raised his hand as he catch a punch, when the both of them connected, it was like a shockwave tear through the area, a sonic boom went off. As Naruto spun and threw a brutal punch towards Ronin's jaw, but Ronin simply turned back his head as he looked Naruto directly in the eyes like that punch didn't even affect him. As Naruto threw a punch, and another, but every time his fist bounced off Ronin's face, as Naruto gave an angry roar as he drove a Rasengan into Ronin's face, as Ronin was sent flying backward by the explosion. Damn it, this guy's tough. I mean, damn, Naruto said. It's that stupid stone. As soon as he started drawing the power, he can keep up with you. I think it's time that you use that, said Kurama. No, Naruto said, that is for when nothing else is working. My trump card to all other trump cards. I'm not gonna use it the first time shit gets tough. Besides, Naruto said, I am not even close to desperate yet. As its truth-seeking ball turned into a bow staff. As Ronin picked himself up, as the armor on his head now completely gone, along with the upper half of his chest piece. Ronin then dashed forward, his hammer pulled back for a swing. As Naruto disappeared just as Ronin took a swing for his head. As Naruto appeared, with his staff, the end of it, as sharp as any sword. Seeing the attack coming, Ronin sent out a blast of energy as Naruto jumped away. As Naruto allowed the ball to transform back into its ball shape, as he formed a Rasen Shuriken around it. As he thrust it forward. Tail Beast Rasen Shuriken, he said. As Ronin seen it coming, he swung at the attack. His staff engulfed with the massive energy. As the both of them collided. Boom! As tornado hurricanes all struck at one instant as the both attacks collided together. After the explosion died down, Naruto waited as he saw Ronin came out, as the man was practically naked except for the pair of tear pants he wore under the armor, as the armor was completely ripped off. But that wasn't the worst part, his right arm was ripped off and his leg had a huge chunk tear out of it. As Ronin dragged himself over to Naruto, "We're ending this," he said as he held his staff in his other hand, as his body became enveloped by the glow. "You're right," Naruto said. "Magnet release. Fatal attraction." Ronin's eyes went wide as the staff in his hand started to be pulled away from him towards Naruto, but he gripped it tight. As he dug his feet into the ground, as he started to scream, "I will not lose my power. You won't take it. You can't. I'm the most powerful man in the universe," he screamed on top of his lungs. "After everything I've suffered, the family I lost, I'm the only one that deserves this power. Not you, not Thanos, me." But his grip slipped as the hammer falls straight in Naruto's hands. As Naruto felt the power flow into him the moment he touched it, as Ronin collapsed to the ground, as the pain started to seep in from his injuries. As Naruto looked at the stone in the hammer, as he ran his finger along the gem. "Sure," Naruto said, "we could have clashed with our strongest attacks, or beaten the crap out of each other. But this way I'm showing you, I could have taken this from you anytime I wanted." "But where's the fun in that?" Naruto said. As he ripped out the stone, as Naruto's eyes became purple, as a purple glow appeared on his yellow cloak. "How?" Ronin said. "But you're mortal." "Yes, I am," Naruto said. As Naruto drove the hammer down on Ronin's head, as Ronin's head exploded, as Naruto released the hammer, as Naruto pulled out a scroll, as he placed a stone in the center of the seal, as he went through hand signs. "Seal," he said. As Naruto then sat down, as he looked at all the destruction that he and Ronin caused. "What a waste," he said. As he got up, as he searched for the Hydrogen seal he placed on Drax, as he vanished. As he arrived, he was in an ocean. As Naruto turned, as he scratched the back of his head, as he saw a great portion of Nova soldiers looking at him in shock, not expecting him to just appear like that. As he saw Peter and Rocket as well. As he saw Gamora sitting down with her unconscious sister lying next to her. Beside Naruto was Groot and Drax, as they watched the ship sink into the ocean. As Groot looked up, "I am Groot," he said. As Naruto looked over at Rocket, "Is it done?" As Drax spoke first, "Yes." Is Ronin dead? He asked. Naruto sat down next to Jax as he gave him a pat on the shoulder. Yup, he said. If anyone expected any kind of celebration, they were let down, as everyone was giving a sigh of relief. As the Nova Corps soldiers started to part, as Rail started to walk out, along with Sol, and a Centurion that Naruto did not know. As Rail walked up to Naruto as she gave him a bright smile. I can't thank you enough for what you have done. Not just for Xandar, but for the entire galaxy, she said. I am sure I can think of a better speech to give once all of this madness is over. But for now, let me say that you are truly the guardian of the galaxy. Oh, thanks, but I think you got it wrong, Naruto said. Pardon me, she said. Not guardian, he said, as he looked over towards the others. We are the guardians of the galaxy, he said. Time skip, location, sanctuary. As Other walked the steps as he was going to his master chambers. Finally, he reached the last step as he saw his master, as Thanos was sitting down in his levitating throne. Well, said Thanos. Other nodded swiftly. It seems our source is correct. The Maelstrom has a stone in his possession. From what they have reported, the Xandarians allowed him to take it after Ronin invasion, after what he did to save their planet. Those are fools, Thanos said. To trust someone like that with that kind of power. It has shown how weak-hearted they have become after thousands of years of war. We could have taken the stone at any time we chose, but now though, there is no telling what that boy has done with it. Other nodded, and there has been no reports of him using the stone. No one knew where he's keeping it. What of our asset, the one that we tasked of capturing him, the God Slayer? Asked Thanos. He still struggled with finding him, my lord. The information given is that the boy seemingly disappeared off the planet sometime, arrived on another 2 galaxies away. Do you believe he's using the stone in the Tesseract? Perhaps, Thanos said, but I tire of these games. I have allowed the Slayer to take long because him killing gods amuse me. But no longer will I allow this. Tell the fool that if he doesn't find the boy, by the end of this yearly cycle, I will show him the power of a true god. Yes, my lord, Other said. Meanwhile, location, the planet Heragon. On your feet, boy. The man called Boy gave a scoff as he was pulled to his feet by the man in front of him. As the one who was called Boy had chains around him as the man was pulling him, as they were currently in a prison cell. Dead man walking, one of the prisoners said. Don't bother begging, he will only make it slower. The boy didn't say anything as he just kept up with the man in front of him, so he wouldn't pull on the chains anymore. As they came up on a pair of doors, as a guard knocked on it, the two waited for several seconds and then they heard, enter, as the two was presented with a white courtroom in front of them, as a throne was there with a man sitting in it, as he had blue skin, with 2 guards at his side. Bring him to me, he said in a booming voice, as the guard pulled the prisoner as he kicked away his legs, as the prisoner dropped to his knees, as the guard grabbed the hood over his head and removed it, showing blonde hair, as the boy simply smiled as his blue eyes looked up at the exalted one who was sitting on the throne. Frosty, said Naruto. The exalted one glare grew even colder. You should watch yourself, Maelstrom. It is by my mercy that you have lived this long. Naruto just looked up at the frost giant. Now what are you doing here, Maelstrom? Naruto shrugged. I was here to help out the villagers under your protection, Naruto said, as he looked around, and look where that got me. And what, pray tell, brought your action to us? Is Xandar aware of our actions? Xandar, Naruto said as he scoffed. No, they're too busy tiptoeing around the tree to pay attention to something as small time as you. But you, Naruto said, you are hard to pin down. Every village I went to, none of your goons know where you were staying at. Were you scared that Thor will come after you? Naruto asked. That oath, the exalted one said. If the fool didn't know that I was here when him and the other Asgardians were waging war with the planet, I doubt you will ever know. Or, you're such a small fry that he didn't even bother to look. You were probably just a grunt when your king tried to invade Asgard. Small? I am Leke, right-hand man to the king himself. I lead a militia of over 1,000 Aragon warriors. I have control over dozens of villages in the region. I am the exalted one. As he got up, if that goof show his face in front of me, I will plant his head on a pike and use that beloved hammer of his to bring Asgard to the ground. Naruto then smirked. Did you say Leke? Leke gave a confused pause. Yes. Man, you have no idea how long I've been waiting on someone to use your actual name. Exalted One? Well, that is not really fit for someone like you who just take over a few small villages, Naruto said, as he break the cuffs off his hand like they were nothing. As he pulled up his Yuta, as he saw a hologram of Leke face on it with a bounty, wanting for mass murder on several planets. Current bounty, 50 million units, dead or alive. What? Leke asked. What is the meaning of this? Well, a friend of mine tipped me off that a guy with a big ass bounty that was here on this planet, he agreed to tell me where you were if I split the payment with him. Sadly, none of your lackeys knew your actual name, and since you move around so much, none of them knew where you were. I had to get captured so I could find out where you are. Standard stuff, not that complicated, Naruto said as he stretched out his wrist. Kill him, Leke said, as all of the warriors rushed towards him. As Naruto smiled, come at me then. Meanwhile, location, New York. I am Christine Everhart, and I am Will Adams, and this is the news. As the camera focused on the blonde woman, today marked the final day of the cleanup in Washington City, D.C., now known as Project Insight, where it was discovered as agents of the long-thought disabled Hydra had infiltrated the intelligence agency known as S.H.I.E.L.D. One such mole being Alexander Pierce, the secretary to the WSC, who oversee all of S.H.I.E.L.D. activities. These events culminated in the death of S.H.I.E.L.D. director Nick Fury and the disbandment of S.H.I.E.L.D. by the government and tens of millions of dollars of damage to the DC area. The camera then went over to Adams. Last night, Tony Stark announced the building of the headquarters Avengers. The team will act independently from any world government and be ready for similar events like what happened 2 years ago in New York City. Turning off the TV, Ileana got up. Long days to the voice as she didn't even bother to turn. What did I say about teleporting into my apartment? As the ancient one was standing there. And what did I say about showing so much disrespect to your teacher? As Ileana turned and looked. I'm sorry, she said. I've allowed you to stay out of the temple while you do your training. At the very least, I should be able to make unexpected visit every now and then. As she sit down next to Ileana as a cup of tea appeared in her hand. As she take a sip, your teacher say that you're progressing well. A true prodigy. Better than Strange? Asked Ileana. No, the agent one said. Is there a reason you're here, Master? Ileana asked. There is. As the agent one didn't say anything. And asked Ileana. I have felt a presence. It has been coming closer and closer to Earth. One that I don't know if the current defenders can fight against. As Ileana looked at her in confusion. And what does that have to do with me? I know that he gave you a way to contact him. A way to summon him. I'm not saying he didn't, but why can't we help in stopping this presence? We are charged of safeguarding the world against mythical threats. Threats as this, we are not to meddle with. Now how do we summon him? With a shrug, Ileana got up from the bed as she walked over to the dresser. As she pulled out a bundle wrapped in clothes. As she unwrapped it, as it was a 3-pronged kunai. He gave me this a couple of years ago. He said if I ever need anything, I must throw the blade in a surface and he will be here in a flash. Good, the ancient one said, as she looked at the TV, as there was video footage of a ship landing in Hong Kong. As they watched as the ship opened up, as a man walked out. I have come for the Celestial. Bring him to me, said the man, as the ancient one just turned away and the TV locked off. We need him now, she said. But guys, and be ending this episode right here. If you want to see the next part of this, you already know what to do. Like, subscribe, comment down below, and turn the bell notifications they posted. Remember to share to all of your friends and your social media platform, guys. And stay in tune for the rest of the what ifs coming your way. And I hope you enjoy each and every one of them. And yeah, without further ado, I'm out for now. See you guys soon. Peace.